peace and silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
What good folks, it's Dark319 and welcome back to another What If, and I believe this is What If Naruto was heir to Big Boss Throne Part 2, so like, comment, subscribe and share, but besides all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 2, Mercenary Work. Naruto walked up to the fighter's box, his steps barely making a sound, as he had been taught by Frank on how to walk in terms of stealth, and looked at the group assembled in the room. Shino was there, his eye telling him about the bugs, and the Abarame's ability to communicate with them. Kankuro with his puppets, which according to the tactical eye had blades dipped in poison, and told him to be cautious. His older sister Tamari had her strength lying within her iron fan, which upon removal would make defeating her much easier, and while there was a sense of taijutsu skill, Naruto was certain she was not skilled enough in that field to take him. To the right of Tamari, the ever-lazy yet intelligent Nara Shikamaru was watching him with calculating eyes, as his strength lied within his brains, and shadow possession-based jutsus. His weakness was moving when he didn't want to be moved, which was mostly all the time, but Naruto knew never to underestimate a Nara, as they were entrusted to come up with brilliant strategies, and hone their minds through countless games of shogi. Not that far away from Shikamaru, but still possessing his own bit of distance was Sabaku no Gaara, who was eyeing him with a mix of interest and bloodlust in those sleep-depraved eyes. Aside from Sasuke team, we're missing someone, and while I don't care for the asshole, I would like to know where Sound's own mummy man is? Said Naruto, seeing none of the people in the room knowing, while only Gaara's eyes narrowing slightly. Why do you want to know? Said Gaara, speaking at last after some long silence. Do I need a reason? More importantly, were you the one who killed him? Said Naruto, seeing Gaara smile an evil smile and saw the shocked faces on everyone else. What makes you say that? Said Gaara, though the smile never left his face. Because I know how you are when provoked, Gaara-san. I was there the day you arrived in Leaf when you threatened your older brother with the ending of his life after he was talking back to you. If Mummy Man so much as looked at you wrong, which most likely he did, I would bet a year's worth of ramen at my favorite restaurant to eat that you killed him on the spot, and since the guy was from a minor village, I'm going to assume no one really missed him, said Naruto, seeing Gaara's smile increase further. You assumed right, Gray Fox, said Gaara, surprising everyone with the exception of the boy's siblings. Why do you all look so surprised? After all, the two of us are like kin, and have the same kind of curse placed upon us by our own village, said Naruto, seeing Gaara's eyes widen and the smile leave him. What is your number? Said Gaara, seeing the confused looks on everyone's faces. 9, said Naruto, looking at Gaara with the tactical eye telling him about Shukaku, the ability to use the sand, and while it was good defensively, it had the weakness of being slow. Of course, the fight Gaara had with Lee in the preliminaries a month ago showed that, and the concept of using water to make it slower also appeared in terms of strategy. With enough water hitting Gaara's sand, much less his very body, the sand would turn to mud, and make him vulnerable to attack. I see. Then you must be the strongest of all of us. I will look forward to fighting you and proving my existence, said Gaara, seeing Naruto smirk. I'll look for you on the battlefield, said Naruto, walking over to the balcony to see the people still shocked by what he had done. Will Sabaku no Gaara and Uchiha Sasuke please make their way to the arena, please, said Genma, since it was for the best that this thing continue. Time to make some noise, said Naruto, seeing Gaara just nod and vanish to the arena floor. After a few moments, it was clear Sasuke was not going to show up, and only would if it would be at a significantly later time of his choosing. Naturally, the people wouldn't care on account of his clan, and no doubt the Hokage would go along with it, since it was clear where the old man's loyalties truly lied if he came down to choosing between him or the Uchiha. Uchiha Sasuke's match with Sabaku no Gaara is postponed until later. The next match is Sabaku no Kankuro vs Aburame Shino, said Genma, seeing Gaara frowning at the clear disrespect the Uchiha was showing and vowed to make the clearly arrogant boy suffer if they crossed paths. Proctor. I forfeit my match, said Kankuro, getting boos from the crowd while calling him a coward. Okay. Will Nara Shikamaru and Sabaku no Tamari come down for your match? Unless of course, either of you wish to forfeit your match, and we can continue on to next fight? Said Genma, seeing Tamari come down ready for a fight. Unlike my brother, I'm ready for mine, and the only question now is, does my opponent from your village feel the same way? Said Tamari, seeing Shikamaru sigh lazily. Troublesome. I don't want to fight. Especially against a girl. What is it with me getting picked to fight girls? I think I'll just forfeit, said Shikamaru before he was literally kicked in the ass over the railing onto the arena floor. Same old Shikamaru. Still using all the muscles in your head and not the others in your body when they count, said Naruto, grinning at down yet not out Shikamaru. Damn you, Naruto. If you weren't so troublesome who am I kidding? It's even more troublesome to do anything against you than not, said Shikamaru before a now impatient Tamari decided to do something about his lack of showing involvement in their match even though the match didn't officially start yet. Come on. Fight. Aren't you a man? Said Tamari, seeing Shikamaru dodging her attacks very well for a usually lazy person. She had no idea how much practice he got dodging his mother, who incidentally uses the same kind of manner of swinging metal objects at him like the eldest Sabaku sibling was doing now, and thus gave the Nara a chance to anticipate some of the strikes. Dad was so right when he said all women were troublesome. If you don't fight a woman, then you're not a real man. If you do fight a woman, then you're a heartless man, and in all likelihood should be put down like a dog. Why are women so double standard? Ow, said Shikamaru, getting hit by Tamari's fan, and sent flying. Some of her strikes. Not all of them. Time to meet your maker, said Tamari, leaping into the air to bring Hema iron fan down on Shikamaru. I met her this morning. She's much scarier than you. I give up, said Shikamaru, as he dodged her attack at the last moment, and saw the woman was not happy. Neither would be his mother much later when he saw her, but that was life, and right now Shikamaru preferred to live for a few more hours. Nara Shikamaru gives up. The winner is Sabaku no Tamari, said Genma, seeing Tamari was not pleased with Shikamaru giving up and clearly wanted to bash his face in. Figures. Shikamaru, you coward. Oh well, if she didn't beat him up, his mother sure will, and what's worse is they live in the same house. I don't know who to feel sorry for. The house, or Shikamaru? I think their house deserves more sympathy, said Naruto, grinning at Shikamaru, who was sighing, sulking, and slowly getting out of the arena. Such a sloth, that one. Now it's time to Uchiha Sasuke vs Sabaku no Gaara. Will both fighter please enter the arena for your match, said Genma, hoping for the Uchiha's sake that he got here in time. Because this time, there was no way to postpone the match, and would no doubt upset the clients for having such a tardy competitor. Uchiha or not. If the Uchiha doesn't show up, I want to fight a warrior of my choosing, and I won't take no for an answer, said Gaara, as he wasn't going to be denied a fight a second time, and would make someone fight him if he needed to do things that way. We'll see. No promises, said Genma, as he now waited a second time along with just about everyone else for the Uchiha, and hoped the boy would finally arrive. Sadly, he had yet to arrive, and it was making people upset. What should we do, Hokage-sama? We can't postpone the Uchiha's match any longer, said the Hokage's Jounin aide, seeing the Sandaime narrow his eyes across the arena at Naruto, who was currently looking back, and basically daring the old man to favor the Uchiha just one more time. Do it, you old fart. Favor the Uchiha in this just to prove I'm right. Even if you don't, the mere fact you are stalling just proves he's special, and deserves your merciful help in this matter, thought Naruto, knowing the Hokage was in a bind now and couldn't avoid it forever. Disqualify the Uchiha, said the Sandaime at last, knowing any longer would make a bad impression on the leaf. This cannot be happening. I know Sarutobi doesn't know about my plans because he has done everything to keep the Uchiha in the finals. I need to wait until the Uchiha is here, thought Orochimaru, though he was also interested in Uzumaki Naruto's sudden change that clearly occurred right under the Sandaime's nose. Could his actions in blocking the seal holding the Kyuubi have done this? Could he have misaligned the five-prong seal in some way to bring about this transformation? Uchiha Sasuke is disqualified for being late. The winner by default is Sabaku no Gaara, said Genma, having been finally given the call and once more got boos from the people. How disappointing. I was hoping to see the Uchiha fight a good match. This means that I came all the way here for nothing, said one potential client while others were speaking the same way. To them, the only good fighter so far from the Leaf was Gray Fox. The next match will start now. Will Gray Fox and Aburame Shino come down to arena for their match, said Genma with Gaara going back to the fighter's box. Don't get angry, Gaara. All things come to those who wait. We'll have our fight. Count on it. Just think, the Leaf is saving the best fight for last and you'll be considered one of the two best when the time comes, said Naruto seeing Gaara smirk at the news, and for once mother wasn't complaining about the wait. Personally, I see no real reason to fight you, Uzu Gray Fox. There is no logic in it, said Shino while finding the new name to call Naruto to be difficult and remembering since it was so sudden. Perhaps. Perhaps not. If you don't want to fight, then forfeit your match, and there will be no shame in it. In all honesty, I'd prefer it if you didn't fight me, and conserve your energy for future battles that lie ahead of us, said Naruto seeing Shino's eyebrow crease behind his glasses at his cryptic message. I see. Proctor, I forfeit my match, as my skills are at a disadvantage to my opponents, and I will not win, said Shino seeing the man sigh at so many giving up. Okay. Aburame Shino forfeits his match. The winner is Gray Fox, said Genma with the loudest boos so far from the crowd, mainly Konoha citizens, and Shinobi too that didn't like the idea of Naruto winning easily, much less through trial by combat. I forfeit my match too. There is no way I'm fighting Gaara, said Tamari, as she was one-touch girl, but fighting Gaara was too much, and wasn't about to risk her health. Okay. Fair enough. Then we'll just have to cut to the chase. Will Sabaku no Gaara and Gray Fox please come down to the arena for your match, said Genma while mumbling, and please no more forfeiting before the two competitors were in the arena. I told you, Gaara. The best match was indeed saved for last, said Naruto drawing his HF sword and saw Gaara grinning back at him. You are strong. Stronger than before. I don't know how, but I can feel the change, and it make mother happy, said Gaara eager for a fight now before a gust of wind interrupted the two from having it with Kakashi arriving with Sasuke. Are we late? Said Kakashi, though he already knew the answer. Yes. You are. Not only that, but Sasuke is disqualified, and before you complain the third Hokage held off your match until the very end while stalling to the very last second he was capable of using, said Genma much to the surprise of Kakashi, knowing that the Jounin suspected they had plenty of time even after the postponing given the matches that came after the Uchihas. What? Then who is Gaara fighting now? Said Sasuke pointing at Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto, but recently he has changed his name to Gray Fox, and won't just let anyone call him by his real name, said Genma seeing the shock on both the Jounins and Jinan's faces. And Naruto? Said Kakashi in shock at seeing his failure of a student look so different. Don't call me by that name, Hatake Baka. You are unworthy to speak it after ditching me for this jerk. And for what? You brought him in late and he lost his spot. I bet you're even surprised to see I beat Neji, much less that I'm even alive, and no doubt even more when you hear from Guy how I beat his own prodigal student in taijutsu. That's right, Hatake Baka. I, Uzumaki Naruto, beat Hyuga Neji in taijutsu in front of everyone here in this stadium, and it was no thanks to you, said Naruto sending killer intent at the Jounin, which made the man shiver, and Sasuke stumble back. Can our match start now? I'm tired of these interruptions, said Gaara barely keeping his hunger for blood in check now. You took the words right out of my mouth, Gaara. Get that tardy piece of crap into the stands where he belongs and let's show these people how monsters like us fight, said Naruto grinning at Gaara, who grinned back, and the cork on his gourd holding his sand flew off with the sand itself shooting out while now holding a wavy snake motion like an actual snake preparing to strike. How dare you? I'm an Uchiha. An elite. Gaara is my opponent. It you who should get lost, loser, said Sasuke taking a step forward, but the combined killer intent of the two demon vessels was staggering now with their patience with the Uchiha becoming razor thin, and about ready to turn on the boy had Kakashi not done what Naruto had asked. More like commanded, but to each his own point of view, and Kakashi was not going to do anything that would risk the Uchiha's health. Start talking, Guy. What happened? Said Kakashi now where Guy, his team, and the rest of the rookies that didn't make it were now seated. I'm not sure myself, my old rival. Is it true? You didn't teach the boy anything? Said Guy seeing Kakashi shrug like it wasn't important. I taught tree walking while on our mission in Wave, said Kakashi like it was something though painful to even try from the way he made it sound. That was months ago, Kakashi. You didn't teach him anything else? Nothing else? Said Kurenai, as she was seeing her female student looking on with worry for Naruto, and felt a sense of worry for the boy too. Chivalry wasn't dead if what she had seen and heard a month ago with Naruto swearing on Hinata's blood that he would get Neji back for his cruel actions. The boy was a mess. I couldn't train him in anything. I could have years to work with the brat and nothing would have come of it, said Kakashi while the others disagreed. Are we talking about the same Naruto here? Because the Naruto a month ago back then and the one now are two completely different people from what I'm seeing, said Ino, as the match had finally started with Gaara shooting sand at Naruto, and the blonde had spun away from it before losing his trench coat to maneuver better when in combat. At the same time, it gave Naruto the means to cut through the sand with the HF sword, and get closer to Gaara. The Uzumaki warrior leapt over Gaara, dodging sand shuriken, spikes of solidified sand, and cut through the projectiles again with his sword, much to the surprise of everyone to see the boy so precise with swordsmanship. Who taught him to move like that? To swing a sword like that? Thought Tenten, as she saw the sword Naruto was using was no ordinary sword, and was seemed to be made from outside the leaf. You're definitely strong, Gray Fox. Clearly stronger than the Uchiha, said Gaara, finding himself happier than he had been in years, if by killing people around you in a very slow and agonizing manner a means to find happiness. You too. You are the perfect person to test my skills out on. I thank you for that, said Naruto, as he danced around Gaara, spinning and angling his sword to cut through the sand around him. You can thank me by giving me your blood, said Gaara, shooting a thicker wave of sand at Naruto, who kept back, flipping away from it, and then went through quick hand signs. Water style, water dragon jutsu, said Naruto, knowing that such a jutsu in an area without water required a lot of chakra to make, but considering how much he had in terms of reserves, the lack of chakra wasn't much of an issue, and was able to launch the jutsu right at Gaara by having the water travel through the sand until it hit point blank with enough force to send the youngest of the Kazekage's siblings right into the wall. Not bad. He's using water to muddy the sand. The muddier the sand, the less strength it has to hurt people and kill them, thought Shikamaru, seeing what Naruto was doing. Seeing his chance, Naruto rushed forward, arced his sword arm back, and then threw the weapon straight at Gaara, with the blade of the HF sword piercing the Suna boy's shoulder, with the muddy sand doing its job of absorbing most of the impacting power behind the throw. However, the blade still pierced through the sand, into Gaara's shoulder, and cut into his flesh. You cut me. Cut through my sand. My armor. I see blood. My blood. I'm bleeding. You made me bleed, said Gaara, feeling, seeing, and smelling the crimson liquid falling down his shoulder. Something tells me I just did something that was a first for him, thought Naruto, seeing the boy cry out in agony from his wound and realization that he was actually bleeding for the first time ever. I'll make you pay for this. I'll make you bleed for this action, said Gaara, calling all his sand to him, both wet and what was still dry. Damn it. Gaara's abilities have been weakened because of the brat. My only option now is to begin the invasion and hope Suna's forces can get their weapon to a safe place to let the sand dry out, thought Orochimaru, giving the signal to Kabuto, who, having seen the signal, had performed the genjutsu, and soon explosions were heard outside of the village walls. And that, ladies and gentlemen, means we now have a whole new fight on our hands, said Naruto, using chakra strings he now shot to his sword and pulled the weapon back into the loving hands of its master. While Gaara frothed at the mouth with rage and bloodlust. Gaara, we need to get you out of here long enough for the sand to dry. Otherwise you can't achieve your ultimate form, said Kankuro, appearing with Temari by Gaara's side. I don't care. I want to fight now. I need to kill him. He needs to die, said Gaara, as half his face became a deformed demonic face, and his entire right arm became inhuman while made up of sand with claws for a hand at the end. You first, said Sasuke, charging towards Gaara with his hand covered in lightning that was the Chidori and Sharingan active to make use of the attack. Slash. Thunk. Only for that same hand covered in lightning to be severed at the elbow, flying into the air, missing its target, or that of Gaara's siblings by 10 feet when it hit the wall above them. Sasuke screamed in pain, falling to his knees, and seeing the bloody stump that was his hand before turning to see the one responsible for this outrage. It was Naruto. I can't let you do that, Uchiha. I won't let you kill my kin, said Naruto, seeing the shock on the siblings' faces, as even Gaara didn't understand why the Uzumaki did what he did, and help regain a fraction of his sanity in knowing someone did something for him. You're both Leaf Shinobi. Why did you do that? Said Kankuro, not believing what he just saw. Who said I was a Leaf Shinobi? A month ago I was, before I learned some interesting truths hidden behind lies by the Sandaime, but from now on I'm a mercenary, who fights for the highest bidder, and when I'm not I fight for what I personally believe in doing. Gaara is like me. We've been hated, shunned, abused, and oppressed by those around us with only so few people caring how we feel. Though they themselves have to be careful should the vast majority of people in the village take their hatred out on them just for doing that, said Naruto before seeing Kakashi by Sasuke's side with the Jounin glaring at him. You'll be punished for this, Naruto, said Kakashi before rushing Sasuke to the hospital while the fighting was going on around them, knowing the arm would have to be retrieved later on. Looking forward to it, Itachi, said Naruto before refocusing on the Kazekage's siblings still unsure what to do. I can still fight, said Gaara trying to stand on his own despite the shoulder wound and the bruising he took when he hit Iwal after the water jutsu weakened the sand armor on his body. Don't. I have no wish to injure you any further, Gaara. Even if you could fight me, the battle is tainted by your current state, and thus would ruin it. Leave the leaf now, said Naruto, enforcing the order with killer intent, and saw Trio flinching under it. Even Gaara and his mother knew better than to challenge the vessel of the Kyuubi at this point in the game. Very well. Contact Baki. Order all Sunanin to retreat away from the leaf and that I was beaten. It will be enough to convince him to order all our forces to retreat, said Gaara to Temari, knowing that Jounin would listen to the eldest sibling of the Kazekage since Gaara was essentially the trump card in all of this. With Gaara taken out, the chances of Suna winning was unlikely, and couldn't risk the loss of so many of their forces. Especially if Naruto, being like Gaara, was true with a much stronger demon sealed inside of him. Seeing the siblings take off, Naruto focused on the battle around him between Sound and the slowly withdrawing forces of Suna engaging the leaf. At the walls of the village, the massive multi-headed snake summons were tearing their way into the village, and only by the intervention of Jiraiya of the Sannin dropping a massive toad summons on them were they defeated. Moving swiftly, Naruto cut through Sound Shinobi, as soon as forces gave him a wide gap, having seen him hurt Gaara, and made his way to the cage's booth where the purple barrier was constructed to keep people out while the occupants inside stayed in. And inside the barrier, Orochimaru was battling the Sandaime Hokage in a fight to the death, and surprisingly the old man was holding his own despite the two brought back from the dead predecessors to the title of Hokage the Sannin summoned to put things in his favor. Coward. Can't kill the old man himself, so he does others to do his dirty work until the Hokage is weakened enough to do it and then takes all the credit. How pathetic, thought Naruto with his tactical eye studying the barrier, seeing it was controlled by the Sound Four, and they had their own barriers to protect them from being hurt. One of them goes down, then the whole barrier goes down, and the Anbu waiting for a chance to even the odds could help the Hokage. What are you doing here? Said an Anbu wearing a boar mask, seeing Naruto walking towards them on the longer section of the barrier. That's not your business, said Naruto while his eye was figuring out how to weaken the barrier enough for him to break through and enter the fray. The hell it is. Why don't you make yourself useful for once, demon, and use your powers to repel the enemy like the obedient pet you were raised to be? Said the Anbu, glaring at Naruto behind his mask. Such arrogance. You really are a pathetic bunch. Just stand there and watch while I save your precious Hokage from his inevitable demise, said Naruto, as he gathered demonic chakra into his entire left arm, and thrust it into the barrier, seeing it flux under the stain of his power. What the fuck do you think you are doing, asshole? Said the red-haired girl closets to him while trying to keep the barrier up along with the others. What I want to do, said Naruto, as he was not about to have Orochimaru cheat him of getting the justice he deserved, and knew the Sandaime had much to answer for. Dying now would be an easy way out. Increasing the output of Kyuubi's power within his left arm, Naruto saw cracks forming in the barrier, earning him a look of surprise from Orochimaru, and even the Sandaime before the old man took a punch to the face by the brought back from the dead Shadaime Hokage. With a sudden pulling back of his arm, Naruto destroyed the chakra barrier with feedback energy, hitting all of the Sound Four bodyguards, and knocking all four of them into unconsciousness. No, said Orochimaru, as he brought out Kusanagi to deal with the Anbu, trying to give the Sandaime time to recover from the 2-on-1 battle between past and present Hokages of the Leaf. All the while, Naruto watched the Sandaime kneeling, catching his breath, and seeing the Leaf shinobi sworn to defend him struggle in their effort to extend his life in this battle. The Sandaime turned his head to look at Naruto, seeing the boy just stare at him, judging the Hokage with the one accusing blue eye, and knew that the blonde didn't help him out of the goodness of his heart. Before either party could say anything, much less move at first, the Nidaime Hokage had moved to flank Naruto from advancing towards the Sandaime, and Naruto had to fight the man off using his acrobatics. He used his HF sword to cut an arm off at the shoulder, but the limb regenerated, and the dead man didn't even seem to notice. The tactical eye revealed the source of the Nidaime's ability to live in this world was located in his head, where a sealed tag was placed to sustain him and heal injuries to his body. The weakness, however, was the source of the Nidaime's current strength, as he just had to cut the head off of the body, and destroying it to put an end to the man's continuing existence was the key to winning this fight. Angling his HF sword now pointing directly at the second Hokage, the blonde swordsman waited for the Naidime to make the first move, which the man did, and moved out of the way before bringing down his weapon down upon the man's head, slicing the back of Naidime's head in half and destroying the seal tag within it. Before he died, however, the Naidime managed to turn his head to face him, and smiled at Naruto for freeing him from being Orochimaru's slave. As for the Shodaime, he had knocked, or killed what Anbu didn't go after Orochimaru before turning his attention to the Sandaime having regained some of his strength. The very first Hokage of the Leaf charged at the Sandaime, who used his staff to counter the man's movements, and missed. Seeing Naruto leapt towards Orochimaru, knowing with the Sannin gone then the Shodaime would no longer be controlled, meaning the man could once again rest in peace on the other sides again. You interest me, Uzumaki Naruto. 1 month ago, you were weak and pathetic. Now, you are strong, ruthless, and show promise in being my new vessel, said Orochimaru, who would be salivating at the mouth had it not been for the anger at this boy ruining his plan to kill the Sandaime, and yet, the Sannin sensed the boy wasn't doing it simply for the Hokage's sake. It was something else. I'll pass. The last thing I want is to be one of your playthings. However, I will see to it that you are given something to remember me by, and that you will always remember the name Grey Fox, said Naruto, as he made 10 shadow clones, all armed with HF swords, and the Sannin cursed in his assumption the Kyuubi's chakra was still sealed off. You won't defeat me. I am a god. I am immortal. I am invincible, said Orochimaru, as he engaged the shadow clones, and Naruto in combat. No. What you are, Orochimaru, is a coward. A coward, who fears death, and tries to cheat it by making it wait. But there is one thing you haven't counted on, Orochimaru, said Naruto, as his shadow clones moved too fast, and was too agile for Orochimaru to counter them all. Some of the HF swords from the shadow clones were able to hit the Sannin's shoulder, leg, and cut into his back. Orochimaru tried to ignore the pain, as he lashed out at the shadow clones, hoping to hit the real Naruto among the fakes, and while a few of the shadow clones fell, there were still too many to aim properly. And what exactly is it that I have not counted on, boy? Said Orochimaru, as he lashed out with his sword in a last-ditch effort, but lost it to the real Naruto's HF sword, and then quick spin was stabbed in the gut while the shadow clone stabbed him all over. Death waits for no man, said Naruto, seeing Orochimaru wanting to do something, but the injuries, and clearly draining battle before the blonde's interference had stopped any action the Sannin wanted to occur from happening. I won't let you kill me, said Orochimaru before extending his neck suddenly and bit Naruto on the neck to fill the boy with snake venom. Only for the boy in front of him to go poof. And revealing the Naruto he bit was in fact a shadow clone. Nice try, but I learned long ago never to let down my guard in front of a weakened foe, and that's not going to change, said Naruto behind Orochimaru before quickly cutting off the Sannin's head with one clean swing. Orochimaru was dead. At the present time of this happening, the Shodaime Hokage stopped right before his open palm could strike the Sandaime in the skull with enough force to scatter his brains, and kill him. The Sandaime for his part looked at the Shodaime in his paused state, seeing the man's body now decaying before his eyes, and then saw the same man turn to face Naruto standing over a headless Orochimaru while the shadow clones dispersed. That boy is going to go far in this world, Sarutobi. I saw the way he looked at you after the barrier went down. He's a demon vessel like my wife was, isn't he? Only the boy is not loved, and no doubt, thanks to your actions, my friend. How far you have fallen from the boy my brother helped me train. I never thought I would say this, but I have become disappointed in you, Sarutobi, and ashamed that the cycle of hate continues on through your actions, said the Shodaime before his body turned to ash to reveal the young dead body behind the sacrifice along with the other one also equally dead that had been the Naidime's body. The Sandaime was speechless, as he heard the Shodaime's last words to him, and could not believe the first Hokage of Konoha had actually said that. Was it so wrong to keep the child of prophecy contained within the village in order to protect the leaf from any possible destruction when such a prophecy was fulfilled? No. The Sandaime had nothing to be ashamed of regardless of what the Shodaime said, as he thought of the village first, and that meant someone had to suffer in order for the leaf to stay safe. The Shodaime was wrong about him. He had to be. Slowly, the Sandaime got off the ground, and walked towards Naruto currently using a fire jutsu on Orochimaru's body while feeling an ache in his old heart. It wasn't that much of a surprise to the Sandaime in feeling such things about his old student, who turned traitor, but the simple fact it was Naruto of all people responsible for it, and not himself made the Hokage feel off. Years ago, when given the chance to kill the Sannin, The Sandaime could not, as he didn't have it in his heart to do so, and even moments ago when facing the snake did the old monkey not feel it in his heart to kill his old student. Thank you, Naruto. You've done the village a great service, said the Sandaime, seeing Naruto put away his sword and surprisingly glare at him. Save me, or so you're called. Thanks. I'm not one your shinobi anymore. I handed my headband in and put it on your desk this morning. I'm strictly a freelance mercenary now, and I expect to be paid well for the bounty for the Sanin's head, said Naruto, seeing the Sandaime look at him in shock at this news. I won't accept it, Naruto. I have to accept your resignation before it's official, and I'm not going to anytime soon, said the Sandaime, seeing Naruto's eye narrow at him. But you will accept it. Or else I go straight to the fire daimyo with evidence of your actions against me and the betrayal my parents felt by this village, said Naruto, seeing the Sandaime's eyes widen in realization that the boy got a look, if not a complete hold of the rumored black book every cage in every village had about every dirty little secret ever done for record purposes. How did you get it? Said the Sandaime, seeing Naruto smirk, and knew the boy had the leaf by the balls. And had no problem squeezing until they popped. The fox is always one step ahead of the hound's old man. And a fox would never tell a hound, knowing such knowledge would be used against him again. Now you accept my resignation, you accept my change from shinobi to mercenary, you give me everything that is my inheritance, restitution for crimes committed against my family, and keep any protest about this from the councils shut. They so much as try to send killer intent at me, not that they could intimidate me from the start, and the book along with copies from various pages within it get sent everywhere. Every shinobi village, every city, every country, and every person with the ability to read will know exactly what this village has done to make itself the so-called strongest of the shinobi village before they all declare war on you. Deal? Said Naruto, seeing the third Hokage sigh, biting back the remark he wanted to say about the boy, but knowing just how damaging the book was in Naruto's hands was more than enough to make him nearly choke on his tongue, and finally cave into the demands. Alright. I'll have everything for you to sign to make it official, and you'll get what you want, said the Sandaime, bowing his head submissively while cursing this boy for having the upper hand. Excellent. Also, I'm going to read over everything before I sign, and any missions I get asked for, the leaf gets 0 in terms of the money for the missions. Got it? The leaf gets nothing in terms of payment unless the clients ask specifically for the village's help too, and if they do ask, you only get a small cut of the pay. 80-20, with the leaf getting the lower end. Oh. Before I forget, from now on, you will call me Gray Fox, and nothing else unless I say so, said Naruto, seeing the Sandaime once more nodding reluctantly at this while cursing the boy's brilliance, since it was clear every client seeing him would want the blonde exclusively for missions. Damn you, boy. Damn you and your family, thought Sandaime to himself while looking away, knowing if such words were ever spoken with Naruto holding the upper hand. Sensei. Are you alright? Where's Naruto? Said Jiraiya, which caused the Sandaime to look back, and see the boy was no longer next to him. Probably for the best, given how the boy was no doubt tempted to take his head off too. He's gone. The plan has failed, Jiraiya. Naruto no longer wishes to be in the service of the leaf and wants his family's inheritance we denied him, said the Sandaime, seeing Jiraiya go pale and wondering how the boy knew and what else the kid discovered. How does he know? Said Jiraiya, as he had helped the Sandaime years ago in this, and while he had felt somewhat guilty at the time, it had been for the greater good? Right? I don't know. What I do know is he has the black book. If I don't meet his demands, then he will see to it that every single dirty act the leaf has committed out of the public eye is known to everyone, and the village is destroyed, said the Sandaime, seeing Jiraiya's face go even paler and could rival Orochimaru's face in terms of that shade of white. Crap. If he knows about his parents, much less the black book, then he also knows I was supposed to be his godfather, and Tsunade his godmother. Only we kind of told her that he died during the sealing and basically took away Tsunade's only reason to stay in the leaf, knowing that she'd crush the skulls of anyone attacking the boy, said Jiraiya, as he had felt guilty doing that to Tsunade, but again it was professional duty over personal feelings, and had to fight the idea of just not following orders. How goes the battle? Said the Sandaime, finally seeing Jiraiya shrug like it wasn't even important. Sound was crushed soon after Suna retreated. I don't know what the Gaki did, but it was through him they pulled out, and sent running like the Shinigami was on the warpath, said Jiraiya, as he saw one Suna shinobi confirming the retreat order, and then running after hearing the Kyubi weapon is being used in his radio earpiece. Why had the Sandaime get into a measuring stick contest with Suna in terms of power? Jiraiya didn't know, But the third had used Kyuubi being sealed into Naruto on multiple occasions in the form of a bluff to keep Suna in line and keeping an alliance with the Leaf during the incident with Kumo, and the threat of using the boy to wipe them out using Kyuubi's power before redirecting it entirely at Kumo. Suna wasn't sure if the Sandaime was being truthful or not, given their knowledge of seals was nowhere near Jiraiya's or the late Yondaime level. The Sandaime had lied, saying the boy chosen was from an extinct clan from Whirlpool capable of unleashing a large Kyuubi's chakra, and surviving the strain of the usage. It had been a bluff Suna wasn't going to risk investigating until Gaara was strong enough to at least hold his own for a while against such a powerful foe, if such a foe had existed. Wait until things stabilize between our two villages and then have an emissary go to Suna for talks, said the Sandaime, as he knew things were going to be hectic once word spread about this, and people wanting answers. With Naruto days later, Naruto walked amongst the war-torn streets of Konoha, not caring that the once well-kept zone now looked crappy like his apartment complex did, and ignored the shinobi around him. Some were starting to show respect, but only because they thought he worked for them, and what they had done was right. No doubt, word would spread of how all their hard work paid off, and they were going to be patting themselves on the back for a good job well done. Glaring at them with a shove those praises up your ass look, the blonde walked on, having sensed their surprise at his reaction, and no doubt making them rethink their thoughts on him being under the Hokage's thumb. With the invasion being over, workers set about rebuilding the damaged places hit by the Allied forces, which wasn't entirely bad due to Jiraiya's toad summoning did the trick on the snakes, and Sabaku no Gaara had not unleashed Shukaku in the stadium. Currently, in regards to Suna, talks were being worked out with them, and finding a solution to all the financial troubles the Wind Daimyo had put Suna in from the start that forced such a desperate move from them, thus causing Orochimaru to prey on the village like the snake he was. That was another thing to consider, as word spread of Orochimaru's demise like wildfire, and many were shocked to know Naruto had done it, with the name Grey Fox becoming whispered throughout the elemental countries. Naruto smiled at that, as he was getting recognition quickly for the act, and beating Suna's untouchable Sabaku no Gaara in a way where all others had failed. The blonde himself had even sent a personal letter to Gaara stating that he held no ill wishes toward him and that fellow kin like themselves should not raise arms against each other. Something Big Boss was proud of him for doing, as he along with Ocelot and Frank had been watching him during the finals while keeping quiet. If they did anything during the fighting either against Neji, Gaara, or during the invasion, then it would just tell Naruto that they didn't think he was ready for what needed to be done. When it was over, Big Boss, Ocelot, and Frank showed how proud they were by appearing within his mind in their military uniform before giving him a military salute. A military salute of respect they would give only to their equals or their superiors they were proud to call soldiers. Naruto Baka, said Sakura, as she stomped towards him, seething in rage at the sight of her teammate, and clearly looking to hit the blonde with one of her usual fangirl punches to knock the boy down a peg. What do you want? Said Naruto, being cut out of his thoughts while ignoring the fact she called him by his real name and not the codename he kept telling people to call him by from now on. I just went to the hospital to see Sasuke-kun. Kakashi-sensei told me his arm was cut off by your sword, said Sakura, seeing Naruto turn to face her. Your point? Said Naruto, as he was not going to deny it, and saw her face turning an angry shade of red. My point? My point? My point is you owe him your arm and that sword that you carry around. You're coming with me to the hospital and you are giving both of them to him right now, said Sakura, reaching out to grab his arm, but instead found that extended arm twisted by Naruto behind her back, and her face now kissing dirt. I don't do what you tell me to do, Sakura. I'm not your punching bag, your pet, or any other thing that makes you think I will be bossed around by the likes of you anymore. Honestly, I don't even know how you even made it through the graduation exam, much less this far with Team 7 outside of me doing all the leg work while Sasuke gets all of the praise, and you playing the tragic heroine thanks to the script the councils wrote for you. Pure self-indulgence, absorbed in your own misfortune of being in love with someone on your team, who won't love you back because of his black heart, and needing to avenge his family's honor. You just couldn't get enough of the drama and you hate it now that the script of Team 7 is being changed. Changed by the clown of the group, who is supposed to die at some point, but surprisingly is still alive while no longer playing the role written for him by the group, and is showing what he can do when it's time to be serious. Get out of my sight. Come near me again with the intent to hurt or kill me, Haruno Sakura, and I will take your life, said Naruto before breaking her arm, kept the girl's head pinned to the ground with his foot to muffle the scream. Naruto could only feel sorry for the earthworms hearing it. Walking a few more blocks, Naruto stopped when a leaf Anbu appeared in front of him, and he could tell it was that Anbu Captain Nico that the Sandaime had ordered to spy on him a month ago. It was interesting to say the least, as he sensed no hostility from her, yet she obeyed the Sandaime's orders at one point in his life according to the Black Book of Dirty Leaf's secret to wait in rescuing him from a mob on his 9th birthday. The book did not specify if she felt guilty, but Naruto was sure there was some form of guilt, and if there wasn't, well, she could fuck off along with the rest of her squad. Gray Fox, I must inform you that the councils, clan heads, and the Sandaime Hokage wish to speak with you now, said Nico, seeing Naruto's eyebrow rise at this news. They wish to speak to me? Those were their exact words? Not demand? Not command? Not their usual get in here and bow down before us, demon? Said Naruto, seeing Nico nod quickly while sensing her wince at the mocking tone behind his words. I will take you to them, said Nico, putting a hand on his shoulder, and blushed behind her mask at feeling the muscles behind them were rippling with strength. Moments later, Naruto found himself in the meeting room filled with all the key people in the leaf that make it run, and unfortunately for the blonde, about 2/3 of all those seated in positions of power within this room were filled with people that hated his guts. The clan heads had been willing to give him a fair shake, which excluded the Uchiha clan before and after the massacre. It was everyone else that Naruto wanted to rip to pieces, as they all glared, sneered, and wanted to spit in the direction of his feet while wishing they could be able to aim higher with the notion that his face would be the best target to show their disrespect of him. Do you know why you are here? Said the Sandaime, seeing Naruto giving him a blank look. Officially? Yes. I'm here to claim what is mine. My family's inheritance, my right to be a mercenary for hire rather than a leaf shinobi, and live my life how I see fit. That was deal, old man. Unless, of course, you decided to back out of the deal and have me come here just to bring about my silence, said Naruto, narrowing his blue eye at the Sandaime. No, Naru, I mean Gray Fox. You will get what you asked, said the Sandaime, seeing the boy looking at him suspiciously. Why do I hear a but coming up in the next sentence? Said Naruto, seeing the third let out a tired sigh. But the councils feel you should earn your status before it becomes official and want to send you on one mission before you can claim your rights to being a mercenary with the privileges that go with it, said the Sandaime, knowing that the loophole for such things fell along the lines of veteran shinobi having done more than 2 A-class missions and wished to seek an independent workload in terms of doing missions. Naruto had 2 such missions in his pocket after what happened with the Mizuki incident, and then again when escorting Tazuna to Wave Country with Team 7 before protecting him from Momochi Zabuza. Another thing, no one used that law in decades, as it made people suspicious of you, and the fact it questioned one's loyalty, and could get you killed by Leaf Shinobi on the Fire Shadow's orders if you were suspected of it with ample proof to back up the suspicions. Not only that, but while the money was normally good, the line of clientele were surprisingly rare due to the lack of contacts, and the money used for such a mercenary lifestyle had to be properly managed. Of course, due to Naruto's action at the Chunin exams, all the clients saw what the boy was capable of, and no doubt word would reach them of him becoming a solo mercenary, meaning they wouldn't have to pay the Leaf so much. And what would that mission be? Said Naruto, seeing the council scowl at him for showing such disrespect. Show respect, demon. You are lucky to even be allowed your inheritance after the stunt you pulled with Uchiha-sama, said Koharu, knowing the arm would require a medical expert that was equal to Tsunade. Hence the mission. Why should I? You want me to show respect to all of you? A bunch of dried up, hate-filled, arrogant bigots, who would ignore the Yondaime's dying wish, and make his sons like miserable, all for the sake of solidifying your own power. If my father and mother were here right now, they would kill you all. Along with everyone in the village, said Naruto, seeing the sputtering red face outrage showing on the council's and even the Hokage's face too. Lies. The Yondaime love this village. He'd protect us over you any day, said Homura, glaring at Naruto, who didn't look the least bit intimidated, and simply looked bored. Really? You're sure? You'd wager your life and the lives of the villagers on that? The lives of your own children? The lives of your grandchildren too? Can you say with the most absolute of assurances that my father, after learning about all the abuse I suffered at the hands of the village, thanks to all of you, would not use all his knowledge, and all his power to kill everyone responsible? Said Naruto, seeing the man shut up, knowing he had them beat, and the other members on the councils. We are getting off track here, and my daughter is in need of serious medical care. The invasion put a strain on her still healing body, said Hiashi, having seen the fight between Naruto and Neji, making him see things in a whole new perspective. Internally, Naruto kicked himself, as he did not know that fact about Hinata, and made a mental note to visit her later to check on the girl himself. The fact this invasion had only made the Hyuga girl's injuries become aggravated and worse made his blood boil. Hiashi-san is right. We're getting off track, and that's troublesome. Let's give the boy the assignment we're asking him to do and be done with this meeting, said Shikaku, sighing at how this meeting felt like it would be the death of him. The wife wants you home again for important things again, right Shikaku? Said Inoiki, grinning, which made the Nara groan, knowing his friends knew him all too well, and just muttered troublesome. Yes. You see, Gray Fox, the mission we want you to go on, is to go with Jiraiya-sama, and find Senju Tsunade in order to bring her back to the Leaf so she can use her medical knowledge to heal the injured at the hospital. Without her help, the people with the most life-threatening injuries will die, and weaken the Leaf further, said the Sandaime, seeing the boy narrow his blue eye at him. Just Jiraiya? No Anbu team? No one else with tracking experience? Just me and my so-called godfather? Said Naruto, becoming suspicious of the Hokage's motives. We would, but we need to conserve our forces here should there is another attack, and we need all the people able to repair the damages done to the village, said the Sandaime while trying not to sweat under the boy's piercing stare. Fine, but on one condition, said Naruto, seeing the Sandaime raise an eyebrow at him. What is the condition? Said the Sandaime curiously. Mitarashi Anko assists in the mission, said Naruto, making the council's protest. Out of the question, said a civilian council member. We'd no more trust her with this mission than we would Orochimaru himself if he were still alive, and we will not agree to this condition, said another civilian council member. Civilians have no say in shinobi affairs. It is something only the Hokage can decide and without the inference of his advisors, said Naruto, seeing the Sandaime not liking the idea of being put on the spot like this. You really think she'd be an asset to the mission? Said the Sandaime, seeing Naruto nod. I wouldn't have asked for her assistance on this if I didn't, said Naruto, though he had his own reasons for having Anko tag along, but wasn't going to state them, and give the Sandaime a reason to change his mind. Alright. Fair enough. You do realize your own pay will be reduced by asking her for assistance, right? Said the Sandaime, seeing some members of the council smirking at the thought of screwing Naruto out of his pay. So long as it goes to her, I don't really care, and neither should you. When do I leave with my failure of godfather? Said Naruto, seeing the looks on their faces becoming that of frowns again, and it pleased the newly made mercenary happy inside. Tomorrow morning, said the Sandaime. I'll be there, said Naruto before leaving the room. He needs to be forced into submission. We have not spent over a decade beating every ounce of free will out of him just to see our efforts being usurped by the demon, said Danzo, hating that the Sandaime's plan to have Naruto under their control was chosen over his own. It's not so simple, Danzo. The boy, he has the black book, said the Sandaime, making everyone in the meeting room look surprised and scared. How did that monster get it? No one knows its location except the previous Hokages? Said Koharu, as she herself had never seen it, and knew even Danzo had failed on more than one occasion to locate the item in question. Kyubi told him, said Shikaku, making everyone look at him now. What? Said Sume in surprise. Troublesome. Think about it. We all know what happened the night the Kyubi attacked and how Kushina was the Fox's previous vessel. The Shadaime's own wife before her was the Kyubi's jailer, yet no one understands the concepts of communication the Fox may have with its vessel, and the considerable level of strength the sealing technique used. I think the Kyubi knew where to locate it because the wives of the previous Hokages knew where to find it. Who better for the Hokages to trust such a secret with, than with your loving wife, and trusted partner? Said Shikaku, seeing everyone's eyes widen in shock. Sounds logical. The wives of the Hokages are told such a secret, the Fox unknowingly hears this information from one, if not both of them, and saves it for a time when the moment is right. Somehow, the boy made contact with the Kyubi during the month-long gap between the preliminaries and the Chunin exam finals, said Shibi, as he saw the members of the civilian and shinobi council cursing at this newly acquired information. So how do we get it back? Said Homura, as he knew there was information in that book that if brought to light, could cripple the Leaf entirely, and their enemies would gather to crush them. I don't know. Even if we do, there is no guarantee that copies of various pages have been made, and ready to be sent out, said the Sandaime, sighing at how things had gotten out of control. How did things get so beyond understanding? Konoha Hospital. Sometime later, Hinata sat up in her hospital bed, loving the sunlight that came through the window, and basked in its warmth while thinking of the things she had witnessed in the past few days. The invasion, the battle with Neji, and Naruto's transformation into that stud of a warrior that only proved to everyone that she was right about him. Everyone always said he was a monster, demon, a failure, trash, and other horrible things she would rather not even think about from the deep recesses of her memories. Naruto-kun is not a monster. He's misunderstood, thought Hinata, as she felt a new form of warmth reach her face, not related to sun outside, but her blonde avenger in seeing his new and improved form, while wondering if what Neji did to her during the preliminaries was what sparked this transformation in him. That Naruto cared about her to change into what he was now? If it didn't hurt so much to breath heavily, Hinata would have scoffed at how it sounded like such a cheesy romance novel, or some girl's fantasy dream. "How are you feeling, Hinata-chan?" said Naruto, walking into her room, wearing black pants, boots, and t-shirt with the kanji for foxhound on the back. "And Naruto-kun?" I mean G-Gray Fox," said Hinata, as she felt her face heating up with a cherry red at seeing him, and without the almost skin-tight body armor-like suit. "Surprised? You shouldn't be. Can you answer my question, Hinata-chan?" said Naruto, seeing the girl continue to look red in the face, but was trying to keep it under control for health reasons, and so he didn't think she was some shy weirdo. I am well, G, given the C circumstances. My past injury W was S strained during all fighting W when the invasion was happening. I have to T take I it easy A and not strain myself T too much, said Hinata, seeing the sadness in Naruto's one eye and wished to know what happened to the other, now covered by an eye patch. "Sorry I didn't see you earlier. I had no idea you were back in the hospital," said Naruto finally, with Hinata's face showing her surprise at his words. "It's not your fault. You didn't know," said Hinata before she coughed a little, with Naruto moving quickly to rub her back to help her. "Easy, Hinata-chan. Don't strain yourself. Doctor's orders, remember?" said Naruto, seeing the girl shyly blush and nod at how close they were now. "Of course," said Hinata, trying her best not show how much she enjoyed his gentle touch along her back. "Excellent. As for your condition, it won't be forever, as I have a mission tomorrow to find Senju Tsunade, and bring her back to heal you along with a few other people that need her medical expertise," said Naruto, smiling at the girl, and loved how surprised she looked at the news. "Just you?" said Hinata, wondering if he made Chunin yet, since no one among any of the rookies or guys team knew if anyone was going to be promoted to Chunin rank. "No. I'm going with Jiraiya of the Sannin and Mitarashi Anko to help in the search," said Naruto, not really having the heart to tell her about what transpired earlier at the meeting with the councils, clan heads, and the Sandaime Hokage about his status being that of a mercenary from now on. Not to mention the news of his family being brought to light. "How long will you gone?" said Hinata, knowing such a search could take weeks, even months, depending on how elusive the woman truly was, and how bad her gambling debts were at the moment. "Don't know. Jiraiya has a spy network, which can find just about anyone, and Anko has abilities for capturing people should they resist," said Naruto, not telling her that he had been the one to request Mitarashi Anko join them in the first place. That the reason the Sandaime wanted him to go along with Jiraiya in the first place was to possibly seal away everything the blonde had become before taking him back to the leaf to have Inoiki dig through his memories for the book. An extra pair of eyes from a person who won't backstab him after learning of Orochimaru dying by the blonde's own hands, and may even help him out should things go south during the mission. "Come back safe. Please," said Hinata, as she wanted to see him again, and maybe finally tell him her feelings. "Of course. I want to see you smile again." "It's a very beautiful smile," said Naruto before leaving the room, and barely caught sight of Hinata fainting back against her pillow with a huge million-watt smile on her face. "Konoha gates next day, ready, kid?" said Jiraiya, seeing the boy walking towards him in the battle suit he wore during the Chunin exam finals, but noticed the eye patch was on the other eye, and the eye it originally covered looked fine. "We will be when Anko comes," said Naruto, waiting for the special Jounin to arrive. "I don't think she'll make it, kid," said Jiraiya casually. "Why is that?" said Naruto, narrowing his blue at Jiraiya suspiciously. "Because no one told me about the mission until you did, Foxy-kun," said Anko, making herself known to the two, and saw Jiraiya was now sweating nervously. "It's Gray Fox," said Naruto, having anticipated Anko being left out of the loop about the mission accidentally, and sent a shadow clone to tell her last night. "Can I call you Foxy-kun?" "You are hot like a fox," said Anko, looking at Naruto with a predatory gaze. She had heard Naruto was responsible for killing Orochimaru, which she wouldn't have believed had she not seen how beat up Neji was, and his new more hotter look. Much better than the orange jumpsuit of a midget he had been a month ago, who talked a big game, but had little in backing it up, and now seemed to evolve into this hunk of a still growing man before her. When the shadow clone came to her home, it had dodged the traps, projectiles, and venomous snake pits she had set up around her home to keep out unwanted intruders before finally meeting the special Jounin face to face to tell her about the mission to retrieve Tsunade. "Not in public," said Naruto, as he didn't have time to fight her on this, and refocused his attention on Jiraiya sweating heavily. "Joy," said Anko, grabbing Naruto and placing his head to her bosom. If I wasn't so worried about being caught in that lie, I'd want to write what I'm seeing down for future research, and blackmail the Gaki, thought Jiraiya, seeing pry Anko off of him. Thank you for your affection, Anko-san, but we must get going, and retrieve Tsunade, said Naruto before walking towards Jiraiya, who knew the look of someone wanting to punch his lights out after catching him in a lie, and didn't like how it intensified. Not the face, said Jiraiya, instinctively put his arms up to protect before a searing pain hit him between the legs and caused the man to collapse onto the ground. Deal. Now we can go, said Naruto, as he left the gate with Anko smiling at what just happened, and was doing her best to hold in her laughter. Damn you, Gaki, thought Jiraiya, as he got off the ground, stumbling while he tried to stand fully, and proceeded to limp his way over to the two now ahead of him. Tanzuka City 2 weeks later. Are you sure your spy network was accurate in this, Jiraiya? Said Naruto, as he saw the Sannin have a mock look of hurt on his face, and Anko also questioning the information the man got while wondering what the hell was going on with all the dangerous people coming after the blonde. A week ago, as they were gathering information on Tsunade's whereabouts, Uchiha Itachi along with Hoshigaki Kisame had paid a visit to Naruto at his apartment, and demanded the boy come with them. Anko was with Naruto at the time, talking, flirting, and flashing a little skin to tease the boy into having some fun when they interrupted their alone time while Jiraiya went to hook up with a woman that just come out of nowhere. When Naruto refused to go with the two men with possible gay tendencies, which such a comment made to them upset the taller, and blue-skinned swordsman. The man tried to take the blonde's legs right off. Kisame missed, of course, as he tried again, and again repeatedly with each swing, while Itachi just watched with narrow eyes at the sight of the boy being much stronger than either Akatsuki member first thought. Anko had been hesitant to engage Itachi, as she knew his Sharingan eyes were not to be trifled with, and decided to wait on the sidelines like he was. After Naruto confirmed it was Itachi, the two talked while Naruto kept dodging Kisame's sword swings, and even injured the swordsman a few times with a couple of hits to the man's body. Apparently, Itachi didn't know just how screwed up Sasuke was on account of his actions 4 years ago, and how that good-for-nothing brother had lost his arm at the elbow for it. Something Naruto had no problem telling the man, just as he did a spin kick that struck Kisame right in the face with enough force to send the man skidding back to where Itachi was, and just in time for Jiraiya to finally show up. After some bolstering, insulting, and the area changing into a huge toad-summoned stomach later, the two Akatsuki members were able to flee. After that happened, Naruto wanted answers from the Sannin, who admitted that there was, and still is, a group of S-class missing nin called the Akatsuki, hunting down all 9-tailed beasts for reasons Jiraiya had yet to find out. When Naruto asked why the Sannin didn't come back sooner or simply stay in Konoha after Kyuubi was sealed to help train him to further prepare for such foes, all Naruto got from the Sannin was silence on the matter, and it was then the blonde knew the answer. Because in the event the organization couldn't be stopped, they were going to hand him over, and keep the peace at his expense. Since then, the two had barely spoken, and Naruto kept his senses sharp when sleeping in case Jiraiya tried to do any kind of sealing on his person. Anko herself had also found the Leaf's actions detestable, as they were not supposed to go through with such actions on one of their own, and also kept an eye on the Sannin for Naruto's sake. She owed him that much after killing Orochimaru. Trust me. She's here. People don't forget Tsunade when she's out drinking or gambling. Especially if she's gambling, said Jiraiya, knowing the woman could and would cause a lot of damage just to escape paying off debts. And not because the woman's bust size is what makes every single guy you ask have a perverted grin on their face, said Naruto, having looked the woman up in the bingo book and saw her picture with the large breasts for a woman her age to still have. That too, said Jiraiya while getting a glare from both Naruto and Anko. Remind me to kick you in the balls again before this is over. Better yet, I want Anko to remind me, said Naruto, seeing Anko grin and Jiraiya go pale. Don't worry, Gaki. I'll remember to tell you, if I can get a shot in, and get a date in the future, said Anko, grinning further like her usual maniac self. Deal, said Naruto, making Jiraiya's face go paler than ever. Hot damn. Do I love my life or what, said Anko with a fist punching the sky above. Remember, Anko-san. The date is in the future. Let's focus on the present, said Naruto, heading into the city with the special Jounin right behind him. I'm going to be pissing blood for a while. I just know it, said Jiraiya to himself while he followed them. Naruto ignored the stares he got from people, as they were wondering what could bring a strange man in a metallic, nearly skin-tight suit of body armor, which could be seen only from the front on account of the trench coat he wore, and it made people nervous. As far as the people around them were concerned, they were on a mission, and by the serious face Naruto was sporting it could get violent in a hurry. The people around them quickly left the area, as they didn't want to be a part of such violence, if it ever came to be, and rather not witness such things. "We make quite the pair, Foxy-kun," said Anko, grinning at the boy, who apparently also liked to wear trench coats, and thought they made Shinobi look badass. "Remember, Anko-san, you have to call me Gray Fox when in public, or that date you want will be delayed," said Naruto, hearing Anko whine, but caved in since he was taking his job seriously, and they already had to deal with the Akatsuki. "Use your sense of smell, kid. If this woman drinks as much sake as the super pervert claims, then there is a good chance she's doing that right now, and pick up a lot of it from a single person," said Kyubi, seeing Naruto mentally nod and sniff the air for the scent of someone drinking a lot of sake. "And found her coincidentally enough in the bar they were about to pass." "Tsunade's in there," said Naruto, pointing to the bar. "You sure?" said Anko, wondering how he knew. "The nose knows," said Naruto, tapping his nose and seeing Anko smirking. "Really? Care to take a sniff, me?" said Anko, seeing Naruto smirk back. "Another time, Anko-san. Mission first, remember?" said Naruto, entering the bar with Anko right behind him. "Just saying. The offer's always there," said Anko, putting her hand on his shoulder, and saw him smile. "I'll remember that for a later time," said Naruto, hoping to catch Tsunade off guard since the woman was looking at the sake bottle in front of her and keep the Sanin's female companion holding the makeup-wearing pig with a pearl necklace busy. "Tsunade Heim," yelled Jiraiya once he entered the bar, and thus ruined the element of surprise. "Baka!" thought Naruto and Anko at the same time. "Jiraiya? What are you doing here?" said Tsunade before she noticed Naruto and Anko looking at her. "What? An old teammate can't stop by now," said Jiraiya, who was punched hard in the face by both Naruto and Anko for his stupidity that sent him through a wall. "The man must love the abuse he's been put through. Makes you think," said Naruto, with Anko smirking at the insinuation of how Jiraiya liked it in the sack. "Now that you hit the pervert out of the room with that impressive display of combined strength, care to explain why Konoha shinobi are here to see me, and why should I even care?" said Tsunade, with Anko sitting down while Naruto continued to stand. "I am a Konoha shinobi. He's, well, Gray Fox here recently became mercenary using a few legal loopholes within the laws of Konoha. As to why we are here? The Sandaime wants you back to heal the injured in the Leaf after the invasion led by Orochimaru team. Just so you know, Gray Fox here was the one to kill Orochimaru and save the Leaf," said Anko, with a smile on her face and actually saying the Sanin was dead. "Orochimaru is dead? Are you sure?" said Tsunade, seeing Naruto nod. "I took off his head clean and then burned his body into ash that blew into the wind," said Naruto, seeing Tsunade scowl slightly, knowing that her former teammate was dead now. "I refuse. I'm not going back," said Tsunade, with determination in her voice and eyes. "What? Why? Konoha needs you. Even with the invasion stopped, there are civilians and shinobi in need of your skills," said Anko, seeing the woman shrug. "You have medics and doctors in Konoha. Surely they haven't been slacking off since I left?" said Tsunade, with a raised eyebrow. "You'd be surprised," said Naruto, narrowing his eye at her. "Just who are you exactly? I know Gray Fox isn't your real name, so just cut the crap and tell me what it is right now," said Tsunade, seeing Naruto smirk. "Would you like to know? Ask your remaining teammate. Ask him what the Sandaime and he did in terms of lying to your face about something over a decade in the making. Ask him what really happened to your godson the day Kyubi attacked? Then you can see me about what my real name is," said Naruto, leaving the woman to figure things out on her own. He was overdue for meditation and a spar with his 3 senseis. "What's he talking about?" said Tsunade, with Jiraiya making his way over to the table. I kind of lied when I told you that your godson died after the Kyubi was sealed inside of him. In fact, the kid you just saw is your godson, and Kyubi's vessel. Uzumaki Naruto, or rather Namikaze Naruto," said Jiraiya, who was once again punched in the face, and sent into another wall. "What? You lied to me? To me? What in hell's name for?" said Tsunade, as she quickly grabbed Jiraiya by the throat, and looked him dead in the eye, with the anger now burning the alcohol out of her system. It was Sensei's idea. He suspected the Gaki would be the child of prophecy and felt that it was best to keep him in Konoha in order to control it, to keep the Leaf from possibly being destroyed by it, said Jiraiya, as he had told Tsunade about the prophecy, but she never believed in such nonsense, and even if she did, it didn't mean her godson had to pay for it. Bullshit. Sensei just wanted the boy to be his pet and keep him on a leash by having the village abuse the boy to break his spirit. You betrayed your godson, Jiraiya. You betrayed the fourth son to arrogant bigots within the leaf, said Tsunade, as she didn't care who hurt her, and didn't care if she wasn't supposed to say anything about it. I felt bad, Tsunade. I did. Even if I wanted to go against it, the councils, and the Uchiha clan all supported the idea, with the other clans only providing some support to help the boy, said Jiraiya, who felt his windpipe slowly being crushed by Tsunade, and the rage her eyes even surpassed that day when she caught him peeping on her in the hot springs before beating his body within an inch of his life. Literally. If you felt bad, then you would have come back to Konoha sooner, and done something about his abuse. Yet you didn't. Minato would be ashamed of you, said Tsunade, as she threw him down to the ground, and ran after her godson. She's right, you know, said Anko while seeing the Sannin and the other woman follow after her. We do what is asked of us, Anko-san. Even if we don't like the order given, said Jiraiya, getting up from the ground, only to be socked in the face, and into another table. Don't hand me that crap, you perverted baka. You are no better than Orochimaru, said Anko, leaving the down Sannin to think about what she told him while the special Jounin herself went to find the rest of the group. With Naruto, Naruto learned that mediation was an essential part to a samurai's life when he was in the land of iron, allowing one to focus themselves, and harness their power from within. The blonde warrior found this to be useful whether he was shinobi, mercenary, or just being the Kyuubi's vessel. It kept his mind sharp, focused, and ready for anything that was a threat to him. So how do you think your godmother took the news? Said Kyuubi simply. I imagine she's pissed off and will no doubt search for me after stomping on Jiraiya for a bit before Anko gets in a shot or two, thought Naruto, smiling at the idea. I can't believe a woman can have natural breasts that size in your world. Are you sure they're real and not implants? Said Big Boss, as he didn't believe for 1 second those things were all natural, and for a woman in her 50s no less. Let me get this straight. You can believe in fighting for a cause worth believing in, you can believe there is a 9-tailed fox sealed inside of me, but you don't believe Tsunade's boobs are real, and that they are staying that way naturally regardless of her age. Right? Thought Naruto, seeing Big Boss nod. Trust me, kid. In my time, women got implants on those things to make themselves look sexier, and it only worked for so long until they got to that woman's age. Then the breasts would just, well, it's better not to think about it, said Big Boss, seeing Ocelot and Frank snicker at the look on his face. I'll take your word for it. Just don't bring it up again, thought Naruto, seeing Big Boss nod in agreement. Naruto? Said Tsunade, seeing him on the hill mediating with his HF sword in his lap. It's Grey Fox now. At least until you can prove yourself to me, said Naruto, seeing the woman look hurt by that, but in a way she could understand on account of so many lies, and backhanded deals thrown his way. Hell, she'd have changed her name to Mrs. Flat de la Chest if it meant leaving the leaf behind in its entirety. I understand. Can I ask, what your life was like in the leaf? Said Tsunade, seeing his back stiffen slightly. In a nutshell? It was a life of pain, leaving scars you can't see, but they are there, and they burn in my soul even now thanks to the Sandaimei's lies. When I was younger, the beatings would be bad, worse on my birthdays, but the old man would tell me everything would be alright, and one day they would see past their hate. I was 5 years old when he first told me that, said Naruto before getting off the ground, sheathing his HF sword, and then looked at his godmother to see the tears running down her cheek. I'd kill my sensei now if he weren't Hokage, said Tsunade, wishing she could crush the old heart of that senile excuse of a Hokage. I have a better idea, said Naruto, seeing Tsunade was indeed the loving godmother he hoped she'd be. What? Said Tsunade, seeing Naruto smirking. Simple. You take the mantle of Hokage, and clean house, said Naruto, as Tsunade's eyes widened in surprise, and so did the woman behind her. Hokage? But Tsunade-sama hates that position. She, said the woman holding the pig, but was silenced by the glare from Tsunade, and knew it was not wise to say anything else. Be quiet, Shizune. You make an interesting point. Being Hokage would allow me the chance to fix what the old man broke in my grandfather's village. Though what about your position in the village? From what that woman told me in the bar, you declared yourself a mercenary now, and from what I remember about those laws, you can do just about whatever you want in terms of missions while cutting the leaf out in terms of the middleman, said Tsunade, knowing her grandfather had put those laws was to ensure leaf shinobi could still make a form of income should they seek official retirement, but couldn't do anything else, and needed to do some work on the sides from time to time. Write up a contract, which employs me, as your personal mercenary, and that it states only you can send me on missions for the leaf. I stay in the leaf to help you clean house, I stay out of the reaching control the councils will try to make, and we stick to every single one of those assholes in the leaf, said Naruto, seeing Tsunade smirk at the idea. And here I thought you were just going to leave Konoha the instant the opportunity presented itself, said Anko, having made herself known to the group. What? And miss out on all the fun? I'm looking forward to seeing the Sandaime out of power, the councils removed from power, and the reconstruction of the leaf into what it should have been during my father's reign, said Naruto, seeing Tsunade nod and letting an evil smirk appear on her face. What about Jiraiya-san? He might report this plan to the Sandaime ahead of time, said Shizune, seeing the group now frown. Tsunade, you can heal any severe injury, right? Said Naruto, seeing Tsunade nod. Yes. Within reason and the right medical equipment depending on the injury. Why? Said Tsunade, seeing Naruto grinning an evil grin, and she thought his one seeable blue eye turned crimson for a second. Oh, no reason. I was just thinking I could show you what one my teachers have shown me in terms of the ultimate form of expression, that is torture, with Jiraiya being the ever so gracious test subject, said Naruto, letting out a chuckle, and then went in pursuit of the toad Sanin. I think I just had an orgasm, said Anko, as she just heard the best expressed way to describe her job, and soon had hearts in her eyes before searching for Naruto. Life is going to get complicated now, isn't it, Tsunade-sama? Said Shizune worriedly. Shizune, life was complicated the moment the Gaki was born, and personally I would rather not be bored to death while in the leaf. Come on. Something tells me our medical skills will be needed for whatever Naruto has in mind for the pervert, and even more when Anko gets involved, said Tsunade, with the two medic nins plus spoiled pig following the chakra signatures of the special Jounin and the Sanin's godson.